everyone. I'm Karen Cho, CNBC anchor. I'd like to welcome you here today. It's such a pleasure to be with you all. Also, let me extend a warm welcome to stakeholders here at WEF, participants and delegates. We have been handed one of the most exciting topics here at the World Economic Forum as we talk about this great equaliser that AI could be. We have a 45-minute debate just to remind you that this session is being live streamed, but also we're live on CNBC with this conversation this afternoon. I'd also urge you to get involved through the social media platforms just to remind you that the hashtag is WEF24. Just to contextualise how we ended up here, last year I moderated a panel on cybersecurity with the likes of Microsoft, Cisco and others, and we were debating what the impact of ChatGPT would be. It was just weeks after the first Gen AI rendition had taken the world by storm. I think we now know that AI is going to impact just about every sector and country across the world, so it's just phenomenal, the amount of acceleration we've seen in 12 months. I want to talk about a very visible example that we've seen, and this is from the CNBC lens. The uneven stock market returns we've witnessed on Wall Street in 2023, investors piling into AI stocks. Just 7 names, for instance, the bulk of US stock market returns last year. One of those companies represented here today. The question is whether we see more disruption from AI and just who benefits in the next phase. It's clear there are consequences for the pace of development in sectors and regional economies in a multipolar world. So what does it take to ensure equal access to AI? Now, on that note, let me introduce you to our panelists today. Han Duck-soo, Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea. Porat Ingabire, Minister of Information, Communication, Technology and Innovation of Rwanda, young global leader. Abdullah Al-Shawah, who is the Minister of Communications and Information Technology of Saudi Arabia.
Thank you.
Ruth Porat, President and Chief Investment Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Google. Amandeep Singh Gill, United Nations Secretary General's Envoy on Technology. Thank you very much for joining us today. Prime Minister, if I can start with you. The AI discussion is often framed around the US versus China. Yet South Korea has huge advancements in this space. Deep investments by local companies from Samsung to LG Electronics to top internet companies like Kakao and Naver, Telecoms SK and KT. What does the potential hold for South Korea around AI in 2024?
I think that we should recollect what was the mood last year. AI experts last year warned that through only one-line statement, that mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside pandemics and nuclear warfare. But we still ask whether AI can be the great equalizer. Korea, if I may judge in advance, AI can be a great equalizer with some caveats. The first thing is how can we make our AI literacy widely available within Korea as well as outside Korea, some countries where Korean can help. So in Korea, we believe about 2,000 AI companies are actually engaged in these operations. And big companies, of course, are there. But they are, if I may say, they are actually fine-tuning and customizing these big models of AI to their specific purposes, like healthcare, electronic commerce, and possibly to the climate change. That's the directions we are going, rather than totally generating a new breakthrough frontier AI. Based on this kind of a very big frontier AI, we would like to make them more usable and better adaptable to the need that human beings have.
Prime Minister, do you think South Korea will be an AI winner?
I believe so, because in digitalization, Korea is one of the countries that stands at the forefront.
Minister, let me turn to you. Most of the global south is still working on digital adoption. Rwanda itself turned to the World Bank financing in recent years to support digital transformation. And you've had help from South Korea Telecom on 4G connectivity. We're not even talking about faster 5G at this stage. Is AI more of a challenge for Rwanda over the next 12 months than an opportunity?
I think AI is more an opportunity, and you see it mostly around our national AI policy and strategy that we launched last year, which in many ways spells out our ambitions as a country to build the AI capabilities that we need as a country, but also not just build the capabilities, think about the applications of AI that are going to drive productivity, that are going to contribute to GDP. As we were developing our policy and strategy, we also had to look at what could be the economic impact of leveraging AI and deploying it in the different clusters of the economy. And what we saw was a contribution of up to 6% of GDP, even with the current status quo. And so we're already looking at agriculture ranking high in terms of the economic impact that could happen, whether we're building AI models that will support with early warning systems for farmers, healthcare, where we're looking at large language models that use the local language to support community health workers that are the frontline workers that are supporting communities. And so for us, it's not a question of do we first focus on fixing the challenges around digital adoption before we think more futuristically looking at AI. I think it's a combination of doing both at the same time and figuring out how do you not play catch up. I think you ask a great question, and maybe Amandip may have to expand on that. I know that there are reports that are already out that show that the Global South is more optimistic about AI adoption than the North. And that could be, a question of we have a very youthful population. They're the ones that are building these solutions, but they're also going to be the consumers of many of these solutions. And so there's an opportunity there that we cannot miss by waiting to first close on the gap around digital adoption, but rather taking it in parallel.
Minister, let me turn to you. PwC crunched some numbers last year predicting artificial intelligence will contribute $135 billion to the Saudi economy in 2030, making the kingdom the biggest beneficiary of the technology in the Middle East. Microsoft's Nadella also believes AI can drive your nation's fortunes. How will AI propel the Saudi economy to a longer-term 2030 vision thanks to AI advancements in your country?
Thank you, Karen, and I couldn't agree more with His Excellency the Prime Minister and Her Excellency Paula, that generative AI as a general purpose technology is definitely going to transform humanity as we know it today. Where if you look at the tipping point where we're crossing from the B2C use cases to a general purpose technology that diffuses across industries, this is where we can reap the fruits. And within the Saudi context, we take huge pride. If you look at the secret sauce today for leadership in generative AI, you need Gen AI leadership, and His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman is very bullish about it. Secondly, you need industry expertise and an ecosystem approach, and hands down, I have the pleasure of working with all of my colleagues within this panel. And if there's one story that is near and dear to my heart that I would like to share with you that exemplifies the momentum that is happening today is in healthcare. And this story has to do with genetic diseases. And the reason why it's so close to my heart, I actually lost my eldest sister to a genetic disease. And this particular disease that I'm going to share with you is called sickle cell disease, which is all about your red blood cells transforming into a crescent that basically blocks vessels. This could affect limbs. This actually affects the global south in Africa, 75%. And with generative AI in partnership with Google, we have launched Google Cloud Node last August, and a startup called NanoPalm, which actually leveraged generative AI to do drug formulation instead of 10 to 15 years, a drug that historically used to cost $3 million, today with $300,000, in less than 2 years, leveraging large language models to correlate proteins and enzymes with nanorobots that inserted through your skin can penetrate the walls of cells and can do genetic editing to prevent those genetic diseases. There's a trial right now in the National Guard Hospital in Riyadh where 15 patients are praying for such a solution. This could not be possible without generative AI and without this ecosystem approach in partnership with all of you.
Minister, thank you. Ruth, let me come to you. I mentioned the stock market gains. Your parent company, Alphabet, has seen its stock up 54% in the last 12 months. The AI winner story is there. Your CEO has promised that we will see multimodal from Google in coming months. That means operating with information across words, pictures, video, and sound. You, more than anyone else in this room, is at the forefront of the AI revolution. So just how widely will that revolution be felt in 2024? Will it be seen in more than just 7 so-called magnificent stocks?
So we are very excited about the implication for AI globally. And I love the title of this discussion we're having here today, because it really goes to the heart of it. Can it be the Great Equaliser? So yes, we are investing meaningfully in AI and have been doing so for quite some time. And in fact, we're describing it as though it's new, but AI has been in our products for over a decade, and billions of people are using AI across all sorts of products. When you search, for example, in photos for a family member, that's AI. Anyone who's traveling in language translation is AI. It's across all the work we're doing in cloud. So we are building on a decade of AI being included within product. But what is so exciting sitting where we are today are the types of applications that can really transform lives, can make such a difference. So we've already heard about health. I think health is one of the most important and exciting areas, because think about diagnosis and what that is. That in particular, you benefit from leveraging many, many scans. So as an example, one that's near and dear to my heart, 1 in 7 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm one of those. I've had breast cancer twice. And when I got to Google, we had a breakthrough in what is called early detection of metastatic cancer. So I called my oncologist. We've talked about this. I called my oncologist at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, cancer care center. I know I was one of the lucky ones. And I said, how important is this? And his answer was, you cannot democratize healthcare without AI, because now any doctor anywhere around the globe is leveraging the million scans that we've seen and is therefore operating at the highest level. We're doing it in other parts of cancer. We're doing it with diabetic retinopathy, which is blindness that comes from diabetes, affecting hundreds of millions of people on the globe. This is extraordinary, and it's here today. It's not something that's coming later. And it's true across a number of different areas. So for example, food security, major issue that we talk about appropriately quite a bit at Davos. Well, back to your point, with AI, we can improve the yield on crops. Not only great for the farmers, but addresses a critical pain point on the globe. On climate change, we're doing a lot of work around adaptation and really crisis management. So fires, flooding, obviously a major issue. 250 million people on the globe are affected by flooding. With Google AI, we've now created the capability to have 7 days early warning, getting people out of harm's way. So what gets us really excited is that, yes, it's across our products, and as you asked in your question, this is something that across any industry, any government leader here, it's the better provisioning of product, it's efficiencies that you can get, and very importantly, to the theme of our conversation here, it has the potential to be the Great Equaliser.
Ruth, thank you. Secretary General, as we race towards 2030 and achieving the UN's SDGs, what advancements are possible thanks to AI that can tackle these 17 goals around poverty, education, better infrastructure and sustainable growth?
Right. I want to take a slightly different angle from my fellow panelists on this. I think 2024 will see a lot more money being made from AI by a few companies, but the jury is still out on how and in what manner AI can change the direction of progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. So on current trends, the answer is no. AI will not be the great equalizer. AI will not rescue the SDGs. But if we want to get to that point where AI can be the great equalizer, can make an impact on health, on agriculture, food security, in other areas, critical areas of the SDGs, we would need much more deliberate effort. It's not going to happen automatically, and 6 to 7 are not going to do it. Maybe 7 million, 70 million innovators from around the world working with AI, working with data, can do this. So we need to enlarge the opportunity space in 2024. We need to put in place good governance so that we earn the trust of the users, the public at large. We address some of the misuses, the risks that are clearly out there, misinformation, disinformation, exclusion of certain communities, surveillance, whether it is by governments or by companies, which impacts on individual freedoms, fundamental rights. So without doing that, there's not going to be... if you look at the top countries in AI today, there's not a single country from Africa in the top 50 in terms of research output. So how do we change that unless we invest more in the human resource, in the digital economy, in connectivity, making sure data flows build up? How are you going to train the models if you don't have the right data flows? And we need to build more cross-disciplinary expertise across health and artificial intelligence. So these are the issues that need to be tackled if we want to see progress on the SDGs.
Prime Minister, let me come back to you on the governance point, because from Bletchley Park in the UK, the former home to World War II codebreakers, the second AI Safety Summit will be staged in your country this year. What progress are you hoping to make on things such as AI inclusion?
Well, first of all, the leaders that gathered at the first summit is that there are things and homeworks that we should do to make AI the great equalizer. First of all, people should be AI literate and digital literate. So Korea announced some of the digital Bill of Rights. That includes some principles of fairness, solidarity, and things like that. So in terms of solidarity, we are going out to and made the projects with ASEAN, the flagship projects, which will help the transforming the digitalization works and processes in some of the countries in ASEAN to be more digitally not to be left out. And our second summit that will be held around May, and we also called for global digital forum, which will be held back to back with the second, the safety summit. That is, we would like to minimize the downside and maximize the upside, the potential and possibilities of AI. So on the basis of the results of the first summit, we will review some of the things that we should do in the future to make our AI the real, global great stabilizer. And that will start from making all the people that will be subject to these AI breakthroughs to fully understand and utilize this digital breakthrough, including AI. And Korea will do its best efforts in making this AI the real global great stabilizer in domestic education and training, and also going out with other people and country who can be liable to the possibility of being left out, to help them to utilize this great phenomenon and transformation in the world called AI.
Prime Minister, but there are access issues, and South Korea, a US ally, has witnessed firsthand the impact of a multipolar world when it comes to technology. Your companies recently, in November, South Korean companies can still operate fabrication facilities in China. But does an AI chip war threaten equal access to the hardware first, let alone collaboration on data sharing? Do we need to see AI stay out of trade policy?
I think the global world and all the countries should really working very hard with relevant agencies and relevant forums that trade matters, of course, in making AI the real great stabilizer. We should make more the trade in AI-related products and services to be more open to the people and to the country who are quite liable to be left out.
Minister, same question to you in a way. Saudi Arabia has been reliant on US technology to build out your AI capabilities. Are trade barriers and heightened geopolitical risks getting in the way of AI being the Great Equaliser?
First of all, if we recognize today, and all of us as a panelist, that generative AI is a general purpose technology, similar to the internet, to the steam engine or electricity, we can't prevent this from proliferating and giving this access to everybody. So we can't leave anybody behind in this era. But going back to your question, the kingdom has been very consistent. We're pro-innovation, pro-partnership. And we took a huge pride in our partnership, for example, with the US and also with South Korea and Rwanda and the UN, in which the kingdom has grown since the launch of Vision 2030 in terms of our cloud, GPU, and AI capacity tremendously. We've attracted more than $6.2 billion. We remain consistent. We have a build, partner, and acquire strategy. And right now, thanks to folks like Google and your peers within the industry, we're having plenty of access to those technologies.
So you're not worried about the US CHIPS Act and how it impacts China, for instance?
What I would recommend is that we work closely with our partners. If they have concerns on technology leakage, similar to, for example, the kingdom have just acquired Lucid as an EV. The last thing we want is patent or technology leakage. And if it's necessary to put restrictions around that, we're all for it. So again, this is a general purpose technology. We should leave no one behind. But if there's concerns about technological leakage, we'll be more than happy, all of us, to collaborate with our alliance partners to make sure that we restrict access to those potential areas of leakage.
Minister, can I come to you? Because China and India have effectively bankrolled the lion's share of investment in your country in recent years. Where does this leave you in terms of access to hardware, access to data, let alone building out the right digital workforce?
So maybe starting with data. When it comes to access to data, we have a lot of data. I mean, we're a country that for the last 18 years has gone big in terms of digitizing different functions and services. Most of our government services are online. So in many ways, we do have a lot of data. And this, for us, is an opportunity to go back and then build the right models that will analyze and synthesize this data and even generate insights. And we're already doing that in different sectors. When it comes to hardware, again, I think there are challenges that come with the region as a whole, in terms of probably not even having that kind of capacity on the continent. But in many ways, this is where, when we talk about partnerships and collaboration, this is where it comes in very handy. And so no one can develop as an island on their own. And so partnerships are very critical for some of these ambitions that we have as a country or even as a continent.
But can you partner with everyone, or do you have to pick a side?
Well, we don't have to pick a side. I think, one, we start by identifying what are the needs. What are the needs that we have, whether it's as a country or as a continent. I'm speaking in this particular case as a country. So based on our needs, then we'll figure out who are the best-in-class partners that we can reach out to. When I look at what we are doing in AI, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's UAE and many other countries, Singapore as well, are countries that we've already been very intentional about partnering with because we see what they're already doing and we feel like there are lessons that we can learn from that. And so it's not a question of just choosing partners, but we choose them based on where are our needs and what value are they bringing to the table for us.
Secretary General, to you. You've seen firsthand how the Global South has dealt with the consequences of a multipolar world. One CEO, and this was a European CEO, said to me, look, there could be productivity gains for some of the lower income countries in the Global South thanks to AI, because you've seen the increasing regionalization of supply chains. This can close the gap on the skill set, but then there's a big question of who pays for it. So just weigh in on some of the challenges.
Yes, I think the foundations are lacking in most countries. Some of the pioneers, Rwanda is an example, India, Bangladesh, and China, of course, is one of the biggest examples. They've leveraged the digital transformation, they've built the foundation, and now they are in a position to take advantage of the AI opportunity. For most, that's not the case. So they would need to build up the foundations around data, human resource, compute capacity, use cases that build up trust, need to put in place data protection frameworks that allow innovation to happen responsibly. So I see interesting examples. I'm not a pessimist about digital technology, and I've worked in the digital health and AI in health space, seen very interesting use cases. But today, if you ask me, if I'm a country, developing country, I have to put some money somewhere, I would rather put it in digital public infrastructure to reinforce financial inclusion. I'd rather put it in education, especially of girls and women. It'll give me much more return without keeping my eyes off the AI equation. So I need to build up the foundation while putting my money on the digital transformation aspects that are within grasp. That's where you'll get maximum returns for the SDGs. As we've seen in India, 4 to 5 decades worth of progress on financial inclusion accelerated and made possible in 7 to 8 years by leveraging digital technologies. AI use cases are emerging, financial risk, financial fraud, but we need to wait and see.